Hello, welcome back to Backlinking, the PKM podcast. In today's episode, we are discussing one of my favorite subtopics in the productivity and PKM space. And I'm really unlucky with the lighting here today, or actually, I'm really unlucky with the lighting every time there is sun. Luckily for me, or for everyone watching, not so luckily for me, there isn't a lot of sun where I live. So this isn't a problem most of the time, but I've had some good weather lately, so that explains the all of the lighting issues I have here. I am trying to figure out how to fix this, but until then, we will just have to unfortunately live with this lighting situation. But back to the point, the really exciting sub niche of productivity. It is analog versus digital. I do both, and I really like both of them. And it isn't just about like being able to test productivity applications or just because like I want to make videos about stuff. I think there is a little bit more as well. I also think in my case it is about like having the benefits of both. Like I really enjoy a notebook and a fountain pen, and there are quite a few benefits with that. And I also enjoy like productivity applications, which you might have figured out if you have watched the channel for a while. So the blend between like, or having both of them and enjoying both of them and having like benefits from both digital and analog makes it a lot easier for me to make a better like productivity system. So what I'm going to do is that I'm quickly going to talk about the benefits I've experienced with analog and with digital, and I will also then talk a little bit about my my personal experiences with both of them, because I've done everything from like bullet journaling. I actually did that for almost a year, and I've also just stopped using notebooks for a while, so I have experimented a little bit. But let's talk about like the first thing, which is analog and notebooks and bullet journaling and things like that. So let's quickly just go over bullet journaling first, because bullet journaling is like it is something I really enjoyed, but I have a huge problem with bullet journaling, and the problem is like the biggest problem is all of the videos around bullet journaling, because bullet journaling is actually quite simple. You write things down that you need to remember or want to remember, and you get back to them. Like literally that simple. You have a couple of keys, they call it keys, so to show you whether something is a note, a task, event. But a lot of people do creative journaling, which is a whole nother thing. And I'm not against creative journaling, I do that myself, but it isn't something you necessarily do for productivity. And everyone doing creative journaling knows this. Like, it is a creative outlet. That's why it is called creative journaling. And that is why a lot of people run away from like starting with bullet journaling. I did it. I had a totally different issue. I actually learned a few things, but I will talk more about that a little later in the podcast. But the things that I struggled with, I had an issue where I got a little sick. Well, that isn't true. I got sick for like 3 to 4 months, and I think it was right around when I first started this YouTube channel. I think it was like half a year in, probably half a year in. Or before I started this YouTube channel, actually. I think it was a few months before I started this YouTube channel. Anyways, point being, I got sick. The timing doesn't matter. Um, but I got really sick, and I couldn't do my bullet journaling simply because I was tired. I had headaches. Like sitting down, setting or putting aside like 10-15 minutes to just sit with my bullet journal and do everything that is needed and clean it up and move tasks and things like that became really difficult. That was the first thing. The second big issue was when I got into like my the job I currently have. When you have a lot of tasks coming in and things changing all of the time, it is really hard to do things in a bullet journal. I needed my task manager and to-do list application and my calendar because things just move so fast. Like in the morning, we could plan a meeting. I would put it in my bullet journal. A couple of hours later, that meeting would be postponed or moved to another day, or I would get another task that I had to prioritize before the meeting. So uh, also a lot of task dependencies and also duplicating stuff because my team and my coworkers need to see what I'm working on as I need to see what they're working on. Like things like that made it really difficult to do bullet journaling. But quite a few things that I took away from bullet journaling. The most important was the idea of like recommitting to tasks every single day. So instead of just easily being able to have a task drag over to the next day, I actually prefer when it doesn't. I prefer the idea of recommitting. So if I'm not able to do a task one day, I often just delete that task the day after. And I write it one more time, just as sort of a ritual to recommit the um, to the task. And if a task has been around for too long and like if I'm struggling to write the task down one more time, the task probably isn't something I should be doing. It probably isn't a priority. And for someone that struggles a little bit with that, like when I get a task, I feel like I have to do every single thing on my task list. Removing something from my task list feels like a crime. And bullet journaling actually helped me with being able to do that, to remove things from my task list. The second thing is all, which is sort of in the same direction. It is all of the rituals you have in bullet journaling, the monthly, weekly, daily ritual. I actually kept all of those rituals even when I changed things up from an analog to a more hybrid system because those things were really, really important to me and became a huge part of the way I worked, not only worked, but also the way that I wanted to work. I think that is even more important. They became a huge part of the way I wanted to work, and that covers like most of the main things around analog. But we also have like digital stuff, and the digital part of my system. So I've always been really into productivity applications. That is how I got into productivity in the first place. And productivity applications have a lot of great benefits like searchability, being able to change things up quite quickly. They are quite versatile. I would say that like pen and paper is really versatile as well, probably even more than a productivity application. But when it comes to like changing things up, if I regret something about my system, I want to change my system up, or I have to move a task quickly, like things like that, and also shareability, which for a lot of people, me included, is really important. Sometimes I have to share my notes, and it isn't easy to share a paper note with someone living far away. The only way is probably, well, you could take a picture of it, but the other way is to like rip out the paper and send it through the mail, which will take you anywhere from, if you live in my city, anywhere from 1 to 4 days, which is way too long. But shareability isn't something you can do with pen and paper. So those two things are much better in digital. But in like in a digital environment, both when it comes to notes and also when it comes to task, over capturing can quickly become a problem because it is so easy to just put things in, whether that's tasks or notes or quotes you want to remember. And when everything becomes a priority, nothing is a priority. When you capture everything, you could just search for everything on the internet instead. Like, you can't capture anything and you shouldn't. Sorry, you can't capture everything and you shouldn't. But it is so easy to do it inside of these note-taking and productivity applications that you often end up with huge tasks lists, or you become a digital hoarder instead of having a commonplace book, you just hoard a lot of information inside of your note-taking app. So that is the huge issue with digital tools. So I think a blend between both and also having tried both is really important. So let's talk about what I am currently doing, which is it is a few things. So I have this little rule that I write down my three most important tasks every single day inside of my notebook. If I'm able to accomplish at least two of them, it was a good day. It was a productive day. So even though my task list might be full of stuff, those three things are things that I mean are really, really important. So I focus, or at least try to focus on those things. So that is one thing I do. The second thing I do is that a lot of the time, instead of having my phone with me, I have an Apple Watch and I have my AirPods. Instead of using like my phone, I bring a paper notebook. I have a letter notebook from Paper Republic. I have one from Traveler's Company as well, but the Paper Republic one is smaller. I'm actually filming a video on that tomorrow, I think. So should be out soon. But I have three notebooks that I use a lot, and sometimes I just take out the notebook and I think for myself, and it has also helped me with doom scrolling a lot. So instead of doom scrolling on my phone, I can go through my notes on my notebook. It is just a totally different feeling, and I mainly use the notebook when I feel like I have to be really creative, and I can then move things into, like, if it's related to a project, it gets moved into a note-taking app later because it needs to be searchable. I need to be able to share it, but just the thinking process happens on a piece of paper. So it is the hybrid between those, and also bringing a lot of the ideas that I've learned from bullet journaling, from productivity, analog productivity, into the digital space, like the different rituals you have, like the thing with tasks, so having to recommit to your tasks, bringing those things to my digital life or my digital note taking has made it a lot easier. So I think that covers most of the like important stuff in my life when it comes to digital and analog. And a lot of people prefer just having analog. A lot of people prefer just having digital. I like a blend between the two. So that is what I've just figured out works for me. Something else might work for you, but I at least recommend trying out both of the options just to get a feel for them. So you know which one works better for you, and you also get like a better let me rephrase that. Like, you get ideas from analog that you can take into digital, and the other way around. So I recommend trying both of them, but that covers today's episode. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching today's episode.